Being an INFJ is a double-edged sword. It's wonderful because we are often known to be the most intuitive, complex and intellectual of all the MBTI types. But it's also very draining because we are always giving and giving, but rarely receiving. Here are some struggles only INFJs will understand. First, struggling with feelings and navigating the delicate balance of personal and professional relationships. INFJs are usually very introspective and have a deep understanding of their own emotions. This can make it difficult for them to understand and interact with others, especially when those around them are emotional as well. They may also struggle with balancing their personal and professional lives, as they often feel a sense of duty to both. Second, navigating the confusing and ever-changing landscape of social media platforms. INFJs struggle with understanding the motivations of others and often find themselves confused by the social media platforms that are so popular these days. They may feel like they are missing out on important conversations if they don't keep up with the latest trends, but INFJs often find it difficult to know when to join in or when to stay silent. As a result, they may feel like they are constantly struggling to keep up with the Joneses or satisfy everyone's needs. Third, coping with a constantly shifting work schedule and ever-growing responsibilities. INFJs are typically very organized and efficient when it comes to their work schedule. However, when it comes to their responsibilities, they can be constantly shifting and evolving. This can be a challenge for them as they try to keep up with all the changes and demands. They may also find it difficult to let go of tasks once they have started them, even if they no longer have time for them in the near future. Fourth, facing the often overwhelming challenge of maintaining healthy personal boundaries while working long hours. INFJs often have a hard time distinguishing between what is important to them and what is not, leading to them working long hours without taking care of themselves. They may be great at taking on big projects, but they may struggle to delegate and take care of smaller tasks. INFJs need plenty of downtime to recharge their batteries, which can be difficult when they are always working long hours. Fifth, when you finally work up the courage to tell a loved one what you're really thinking or feeling, and they still don't get it. INFJs often struggle with feeling understood. They may feel like they need to constantly explain themselves, even when others act as if they understand intuitively. This can lead to INFJs feeling frustrated and misunderstood. They may also feel like they need to keep their feelings close to the vest in order to avoid hurting the people they care about. In the end, this can make it difficult for INFJs to fully express themselves and connect with others. 6. Being a compulsive people pleaser in relationships because your partner's dissatisfaction would feel worse than your own. INFJs often struggle with feeling like they need to please everyone in their lives, especially in relationships. They may feel like they need to change or fix things for their partners in order to make them happy, even if that means sacrificing their own needs. This can be especially difficult when the partner is dissatisfied with everything the INFJ does. 7th, the persistent, nagging voice in the back of your mind that tells you you're not reaching your full potential. INFJs often struggle with a persistent voice in the back of their mind that tells them they're not reaching their full potential. This voice can be a nagging reminder that they could be doing more, achieving more, and feeling more. INFJs often find it hard to quiet this voice and focus on their goals. 8th, the recurring conflict between desiring time alone and feeling compelled to go make your loved ones happy. INFJs often struggle with the conflict between wanting time alone and feeling compelled to go make their loved ones happy. While they value connection and intimacy, INFJs also need time to themselves in order to recharge. This can be a difficult balance to strike, as INFJs feel a deep sense of obligation to care for others and often feel like they aren't fulfilling that role if they don't spend enough time alone. Additionally, INFJs have a strong intuition which can lead them down paths of inquiry that may not be compatible with their need for solitude. When these conflicts arise, it can be difficult for INFJs to find the right balance between meeting everyone's needs and honoring their own desires. 9th, when you want to sleep but your brain insists on staying awake to analyze the greatest mysteries of the universe. INFJs are often known for their deep thinking and analysis abilities. However, this can sometimes lead to them struggling to get enough sleep. This is because INFJs are constantly busy trying to figure out the complexities of the world around them. 10th, being in tune with everyone else's emotions but your own. 11th, inadvertently creating ridiculous expectations for others and then being disappointed when they fail to meet them. The INFJ personality type typically struggles with creating unreasonable expectations for themselves and others. They may overthink things or become consumed with worry that others won't meet their standards. This can lead to disappointment and frustration, especially if the expectations are not met. INFJs should be careful not to set unrealistically high standards for themselves or for others, as this can lead to disappointment and frustration. Instead, they should focus on setting realistic goals and working towards them with patience and perseverance. 12th, detesting conflict while being constantly approached by others with their own. INFJs are often drawn to working with others, but they may struggle with conflict. They may find it uncomfortable or even distasteful, which can lead to them avoiding it. This can make it difficult for them to form strong relationships or work collaboratively. 13th, need close relationships in order to be happy, but also require significant alone time. INFJs typically struggle with needing close relationships in order to be happy, but also requiring significant alone time. They may feel like they need to be around others in order to feel fulfilled, but often find themselves feeling frustrated and lonely when they are not able to spend time alone. INFJs are often excellent listeners and can be very supportive, but may find it difficult to express their feelings openly due to their introverted nature. They may need time and patience to learn how to balance themselves better in the world, but are ultimately a compassionate and caring individual who just wants the best for those around them. 14th, being intellectually gifted but completely disconnected from the world around you. INFJs are often drawn to the sciences and mathematics, but they may struggle when it comes to interacting with people. They may find it difficult to understand or relate to other people's emotions, and they may be at a loss for what to say or do in social situations. INFJs can be very intense and analytical, which can make them seem cold or unapproachable. However, once they get to know someone, INFJs are incredibly loyal and caring friends. 15th, convincing everyone you're an extrovert when you're in public, and then confusing the living daylights out of them when you don't want to go out tonight because, well, you just don't want to. INFJs often struggle with convincing others that they are actually extroverted. They may feel uncomfortable in public, and will often adjust their behavior in order to fit in. When they do not want to go out, INFJs may struggle to communicate this to others. This can lead to confusion and frustration on the part of those around them. 16th, when the majority of your favorite people are fictitious. INFJs can be at a loss for words when it comes to understanding the feelings of others. They often feel like they don't have the right vocabulary or experience to express themselves, and they may find it difficult to relate to other people. This can lead to isolation and a lack of connection with others. INFJs may also struggle with feeling understood or appreciated, which can cause them great emotional pain. 17th, not desiring to work for a corrupt, capitalist society, yet needing to pay rent and buy food. INFJs struggle with feeling like they have to compromise their morals in order to survive. They may feel like they can't express themselves or be themselves around others, because they fear that it will get them in trouble. INFJs also struggle with not being able to fully connect with others, as they may feel too shy or introverted. 18th, being idealistic enough to conceive of a utopian society, but realistic enough to comprehend why it could never exist. INFJs often struggle with the balance between their idealistic beliefs and their realistic understanding of how societies work. They can be incredibly passionate about their ideas, but may be frustrated when they see that those ideas cannot actually be implemented in a practical way. This can make INFJs feel like they are constantly fighting against a system that is not willing to listen to or care about their concerns. 19th, when a conversation with a person doesn't go as you meticulously planned in your head. INFJs can find it difficult to adapt to change, and when things don't go according to plan, they can feel frustrated and lost. They are usually very logical and insightful people, so understanding complex problems is easy for them, but they may find it difficult to communicate their thoughts effectively. This can make conversations challenging, as the INFJ will often want to explain their views in great detail, even if this means going over the same points multiple times. 20th, alternating between revealing no information about oneself to others and then revealing excessive information and apologizing for it. INFJs are often seen as mysterious and complex, which can make it difficult for them to open up to others. This can be especially difficult when it comes to revealing personal information, as INFJs may alternately feel like they need to keep everything hidden or apologize for any information they do share. Additionally, INFJs may find it difficult to trust others, given their tendency towards being introspective and analytical. 21st, actually, feeling the need to apologize for virtually every emotion or need that you express externally. INFJs are often considered to be one of the most compassionate and intuitive personality types, but this doesn't mean that they don't experience any struggles. For example, INFJs may struggle with feeling the need to apologize for virtually every emotion or need that they express externally. This can be a challenge because it can feel like it's taking away from the intimacy and connection that is so important to them. Additionally, INFJs may find it difficult to communicate their feelings in a way that is both meaningful and accessible to others. In order to overcome these challenges, INFJs should focus on developing thicker skin and learning how to communicate more effectively. 22nd, being able to predict with airy accuracy how a situation will unfold, but being too polite to tell people they are making a mistake. Therefore, remaining silent and having to observe exactly what you anticipated transpire. INFJs often struggle with the fact that they can predict situations in detail, but they don't want to hurt the people's feelings by bluntly telling them what they're doing wrong. This can lead to INFJs feeling like they're stuck in a cycle of misery, where they watch people make mistakes and then stay silent, never being able to help. INFJs should try to be more open with others and communicate their concerns honestly, so that everyone can work together more effectively. 23rd, in a culture obsessed with flings and one-night stands, having absolutely no interest in casual dating. In an environment where it's seen as more important to be casual and have multiple partners, INFJs often struggle with feeling understood and connected. They may feel like they're missing out on the important aspects of life because they're not interested in superficial relationships. Additionally, INFJs may find it difficult to trust people, especially those who they don't know well, leading to a lack of intimacy in their relationships. 24th, being a magnet for self-destructive people and then dwelling 10 times more on their problems than they do on their own. INFJs are often drawn to people who are struggling, as they feel a deep sense of empathy. Unfortunately, this can make them vulnerable to people who take advantage of this. INFJs may also struggle with feeling overwhelmed by their own emotions, and not being able to distinguish between real problems and their own fears.